Let's talk about another underwater Appalachian ghost town, shall we? Today, I would like to tell you about Gad, West Virginia, which sits at the bottom of Summersville Lake in central West Virginia. From what I can see, Summersville Lake is beautiful and I want to take a trip there. In 2023, Summersville Lake State Park became West Virginia's newest state park, and it's on the northern rim of Summersville Lake. It was formed by a rock-filled dam on the Gauley River, and it has the distinction of being the largest lake in West Virginia. It's also a popular spot for scuba divers because the waters are so clear, and they call it the Little Bahamas of the East. But of course, like every other mountain lake we've talked about on here, there is a town at the bottom of Summersville Lake, and that is Gad. In fact, much of the town is still intact, and scuba divers can see it when they go into Summersville Lake, and some call it the Appalachian Atlantis. Gad was a farming community on McGee's Creek that existed from around the 1800s to the 1960s. And even though it was a small community, it left a big impact on the area. There are people that still have memories of Gad and others that can trace their family lineage back there. It's also said that Gad had a sawmill, a church, a school, a general store, and a post office, just all of the hallmarks of a rural Appalachian town in the 19th century. Also, many of the photos that I'm using are from a really cool YouTube video by the SCTV guy, so definitely check that out. But of course, the 1960s rolled around, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers wanted to create a lake where Gad was. So they purchased up all of the properties of the residents and businesses in the area. People who lived and worked there had to be relocated so that Summersville Lake could be constructed, which was made to control the flooding in the Kanawha Valley of West Virginia, which I always thought was kind of funny because it's like you're trying to control flooding, I get that, but then you permanently flood an entire community, I guess for the sake of, I don't know, it's just something I think about. 6 family graveyards had to be relocated. Residents were moved from family farming land that they had farmed for generations, and some of the old timers never got over the shock of losing their farm, which is really sad. To lighten it up with a little bit of twisted dark humor here at the end, there is kind of a fun thing that came from this. When Summersville Lake was flooded, the dam holding the waters back is called Summersville Dam. Traditionally, the Army Corps of Engineers names the dam after the nearest town, which would have been Gad. So that would have made this called the Gad Dam. You see where I'm going with this? But of course, local officials got their panties in a twist about it, and so they went to the next nearest town, which was Summersville, and so it's the Summersville Dam. But if you ask me, I think it's a goddamn shame.